We are now going to go to a section with a live punk feminist band of young people who are just tearing it up, and we're going to listen to some of their music, and we're going to talk about some of their music and why they have been stirring up a controversy. Let me say you are listening to The Joy of Resistance, multicultural feminist radio at WBAI. We come to you every Sunday between 6 and 7 p.m., and we cover the worldwide ongoing struggle of women for full liberation and equality. And anything that falls in that realm, we try to cover in the time that we have. WBAI at 99.5 FM in New York City is in a very interesting period, and that will immediately show up in the to the credit of Joy of Resistance. Enough said. We have in the studio a great feminist punk band, and Halsey Hazard, I think we're going to play a little cut of their music as they've just come in, and then Halsey Hazard is going to talk to them. We're all going to talk to them. We're going to find out about them, so stay tuned. You won't want to miss this.
Are listening to Bleeders playing Girls Want to Be with the Girls, which is a cover of a Talking Heads song. And we have Bleeders live in the studio with us right now. They are a feminist DIY rock band that formed 2 years ago in Kutztown, Pennsylvania. They are in New York City this weekend as part of their tour supporting Period Bomb, and we are so lucky to have them in the studio to talk about their experience as a feminist band. So if you guys want to go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Brenna. I do vocals.
I'm Melanie. I play drums.
I'm Matt. I play bass.
I'm Kay. I play guitar.
All right. So how has your tour been going?
It's been a lot of fun. Period Bomb is really awesome. We've learned a lot from them, being on the road with them, and they're just really cool people, and we've met a lot of new people and seen new places on this tour, and it's been really great and good experience.
Cool. So your guys' name is Bleeders. You're touring with Period Bomb, and one of the feminist issues you deal with, among many in your music, is menstruation and the stigma that surrounds it. So I think we're going to go ahead and play your song Aunt Flo.
This is my Aunt Flo. People say that she's no fun.
She's
All right, and that is Aunt Flo by Bleeders. Can we get the lyrics to that, Brenna?
Yeah, I'll read a couple lines from it. This is my Aunt Flo. I want everyone to know. People say that she's no fun. She's not for everyone. This is my Aunt Flo. People talk, but they don't know. She visits once a month. I'm telling everyone. That's about destigmatizing menstruation.
Right, and I want to say that the movement to destigmatize menstruation is going on all over the world, right? A lot of different cultures. So you're part of something.
Yeah, it's crazy that this is something that happens to like half of everyone in the world, but like in some parts of the world, it still like prevents you from going to school or like going out, just because like the fact that you might bleed would be so embarrassing, and like if anyone sees
so
it,
disgusting and shameful. Yeah,
it's just blood.
Yeah, so I really like that this kind of ends on the, the Aunt Flo, I love you so. We love Aunt Flo. But unfortunately, not everyone loves Aunt Flo. I know you guys have received some backlash for sort of being pro-period, among other things. If you guys want to talk about that a bit.
Right. So right now, I guess there is this suspicion in the feminist community that anyone talking about periods is being exclusionary of the transgender population. People have accused us of having a name that means only real women bleed, which is kind of reading into things a little too far. And we have a trans guitarist. Kay is trans, and obviously we don't harbor any sort of hatred towards an extremely marginalized population of people who are also oppressed under patriarchy. So we think that people should be able to talk about periods. Me talking about my body doesn't mean that I'm invalidating someone else's experience who has a different body.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
This is Kay speaking.
Yeah, this is Kay speaking. Like, so many people are oppressed because they bleed, because they have periods, because of their like reproductive systems. I mean, it's just like crazy not to be able to talk about that. It's really kind of like backwards, and it's kind of just like rebranding a lot of the same hate that has been directed at women for these things, in a different form.
So what happened, though? What kind of response did you get, and what kind of trouble did you get into for talking about this?
Well, there's a lot more to the story of why this was happening, but we did get a lot of opposition for this tour. People were trying to contact promoters and harass them into dropping us off shows that we had scheduled for this tour. That is such a long story that we don't have time to get into, really, but
Just wanted to know in general, the general outlines of what you ran into.
It's been really difficult just to get shows and play out, and we've had to play under different names and avoid the internet and everything because it's just been kind of a mess.
Thankfully, our tour mate Period Bomb are so good at like setting things up last minute. They know so many people across the country, and we've been like just playing shows that we set up like a few days before, and like everyone there is like really into it. Like it's not like a casual thing. I don't know. It's really cool to see like how much support we have.
All right. We're going to get even more controversial now, aren't we?
Yeah, I think next we're going to go to a song that's on your album We Hate Men called I Hate Men. And I think
It's caught
yeah, so let's hear that and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah, I hate men. Yeah, it's true. You hate men if it happened to you. Yeah, I hate men. Yeah, it's true. I hate men and you should too. I hate all the evil things they do, like rape and abuse and harassment too. Yeah, I hate men. Yeah, it's true. And I don't have to justify myself to you. I hate men. I hate men. I hate men. I hate men. Yeah, I hate men. Yeah, it's true. You hate men if it happened to you. Yeah, I hate men. Yeah, it's true. I hate men and you should too. I'm not a feminist.
right. Well, that song kind of speaks for itself, and here at Joy Resistance, we weren't sure whether we wanted to play it because that is, of course, the first thing that feminists are always accused of. You're man-haters. As a matter of fact, we even have a whole lot of backlash against the Me Too movement now coming in and, zeroing in on that. Once again, that very old story of being called that. So what did you all mean by writing this song?
Well, kind of exactly what you just said. Every feminist is familiar with this slander of being accused of being man-hating, and the way that many feminists respond to that accusation is by bending over backwards, trying to convince men that we don't actually hate them and we're not actually threatening to male power, which I think is completely antithetical to what feminists are trying to achieve, because any feminism that gains support from men is impotent. It's not going to challenge anything. It's not going to change anything.
You mean from any men, any individual man, right? You mean?
Well, we don't
general.
hate every single man, obviously.
Yeah, I'm a man, and I play bass in this band. I don't think I'm really hated. Sometimes I'm get the kind of feeling I might be hated, but
Well, I hate
not.
Matt,
yeah.
but I don't hate every single man, obviously.
Yeah, sometimes I think everyone's just yelling, "I hate Matt," and just kind of like turn around, and then that happens.
But yeah, we obviously don't hate every single man, but we don't think that feminists should waste our time and energy trying to convince men that we don't hate them. Because honestly, we have pretty good reason to hate men, given all of the abuse, rape, harassment, and everything else that men have done to women since the beginning of patriarchy.
Yeah, and if you're used to going through your life with like privilege over like every woman based on, being seen as a man, then anyone who challenges that might seem hateful to you.
I also don't believe that if we can somehow convince men that feminists don't hate them, that they'll get behind our movement. I don't think anything would change.
So you're kind of thumbing your nose at the whole thing and grabbing the tiger by the tail and all of that.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
I'm reclaiming the stereotype.
You're right.
Right.
And saying, this is a moment that we all experience at one time or another, and for good reason. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I hate men sometimes myself. 'Cause I'm a man.
Yeah. I think, I think right now we can talk about some of the other things you guys are doing, kind of bringing feminism to these shows around the country, really. What else have you guys brought forward as part of your message?
Play guitar as loud as you can.
We do also have a couple of zines. We have like something that was written by Andrea Dworkin that kind of lays out like her agenda as like what feminism is supposed to achieve. And we also have an introductory to like DIY women's health, like how you can control like your menstruation and potentially just take control of your like reproductive abilities. I think that's pretty punk and feminist.
Yeah, Google menstrual extraction.
Right.
It'll blow your mind.
That's right. And that was an early discovery of the women's liberation movement, and of course it's gone out of whatever popular mind. So some of your other songs are also really, really provocative. You have one called forced vaginal ultrasound?
Forced vaginal ultrasound, yes.
Which we're going to go out on. And could you talk about that one?
That was about my experience getting an abortion in Pennsylvania when I was 18 years old. The Pennsylvania abortion regulations are very strict, as many listeners are probably familiar with. And there's a mandatory ultrasound, which is medically unnecessary, and the point is to be invasive.
Yeah.
And so that's what that's about.
Yeah. And that's mirrored by a lot of other laws all over the country. Unfortunately, it's part of the whole right-wing assault on reproductive rights. And you want to talk about any of your other songs that should be mentioned here?
Oh, yeah, we just wrote a new song that's not on our latest album. It's called Rest in Pain, Hugh Hefner. It's kind of a celebration of Hugh Hefner's recent death.
Why would you want to do something like that?
Because pornography is anti-woman propaganda. It's
Right on.
racist, it's sexist, it's classist, and millions of men all over the world are consuming it, and it's shaping their attitudes and behaviors towards primarily women, and very much women of color.
Yeah. Yeah, and about 85% of it involves men getting off to violence against women. We know that from research.
Yeah, so I think in light of that, I think it's really great what you guys are doing, really bringing this message to, you know, these venues and everything, and especially because I know certain music communities can be pretty misogynistic, so I think it's really great that you have been this force for feminism in this way. I just want to ask, where can our listeners find more of your music?
Bleeders.bandcamp.com. We also have a Facebook page. And yeah, do we have anything else? We
Yeah.
have an Instagram now too.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't know. I forgot the password for the Instagram, so I can't log. I can't get into it. But our music is also on YouTube. Some of our albums, which is nice.
Right.
It's Bleeders, not the Bleeders.
Yeah, Bleeders.
The Bleeders is a band from New Zealand, and they're terrible.
Okay. And that's BANDCAMP. In case.
Yep, bleeders.bandcamp.com.
All right. All right. Well, we were very excited to have you on and to hear that younger people are very radically feminist and are playing this music and are getting a good response. Right.
Yeah,
Which
thanks
is-
so much for having us. Honestly, it's been such a great experience.
Yeah, thanks. It's an honor.
Yeah, we'll come back anytime.
All right. Okay. We're going to go out with forced, again, I say this, forced vaginal ultrasound. It's pretty heavy duty, so hang on to your seats. And we will be back next week at between 6 and 7 p.m., Joy of Resistance, Multicultural Feminist Radio. And we will have more controversial stuff. I mean, there's no point in having a feminist radio show if you don't kind of step in it sometimes. Please give us your responses at jor@wbai.org. And please become a buddy of WBAI, because you're not going to hear this stuff anywhere else. And do it in the name of Joy of Resistance. Over and out. Here comes Forced Vaginal Ultrasound by Bleeders.